In this video, we are going to see how we use function notation to find the values of a given function. Let's say we have to find the value g of negative 2 when we are given the function g of x equals negative x squared plus 3x minus 1. We are going to use what is called the skeleton method. The skeleton method is great because it helps us eliminate any possible mistakes that we might make by not following the order of operations correctly. So the skeleton method really helps us make sure that we follow our proper order of operations and we don't have any small arithmetic errors. So here's why it's called the skeleton. It looks like you're looking through the bones of a skeleton. You have the outline of the function. Everywhere that the input variable x used to be, we have now replaced that with an empty set of parentheses. So it's like you can see through the function, just like you can see through the bones of a skeleton. Now, another thing that we're going to do is we're going to replace that negative sign that was in the beginning of the function in front of the x squared. So that was the coefficient on the x squared term. That's really a negative 1. So I want to make sure that we all see that. So this negative sign right here that was out in front of the x squared, that was the leading coefficient of the x squared term. That really means that the x squared term is being multiplied by a negative 1. So all I did was replace the negative sign with a negative 1 to reinforce the fact that that is multiplication, okay? And when I start getting into the explanation of the order of operations, we'll see more why that is multiplication. Okay, now what we do is we input the given value of the variable. So we were told to find g of negative 2. So that means everywhere that we have an empty set of parentheses, we're going to replace it with the value of negative 2. And then all we have to do is carry out our order of operations on the right side of the equal sign. Now, it's really important that we notice on the left side of the function where we have the g of negative 2, the parentheses do not indicate multiplication. The g is the name of the function, and then the parentheses with the negative 2 means we are replacing the input value for negative 2. So that's not g times negative 2. That means find the value of the function g when your input value is negative 2, or g of negative 2. So the only simplifying and multiplying and any operations that we're doing are going to happen on the right side of the equal sign. So now let's carry out our order of operations. So in order of operations, we do parentheses first. Well, that means you do what's inside the parentheses, and there's really nothing to do inside the parentheses. We just have negative 2's. So after parentheses comes exponents. So the first thing I'm going to do is the negative 2 squared. And negative 2 squared is positive 4. So I have g of negative 2 equals negative 1 times positive 4 plus negative 6, because I did multiply the 3 times the negative 2 to get the negative 6. And then I have minus 1. So now I'm going to continue my order of operations. This becomes g of negative 2 equals negative 4 minus 6 minus 1. And that gives me a final result of g of negative 2 equals negative 11. So that means the value of the function g, when I plug in the input variable negative 2, is negative 11. So the function's output value is negative 11. All right, so we found that g of negative 2 equals negative 11. And that means the value of g of x when x is negative 2 is negative 11. That also tells us that the ordered pair negative 2, negative 11 is on the graph of g of x. So let's take a little bit closer look at what that means about the ordered pair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph our function g of x. So we had g of x equaled negative x squared, so let's enter that, plus 3x minus 1. So we can tell that we have a parabola that's opening down, okay? So that is the function that's created from negative x squared. That is the graph of the function that's created from g of x equals negative x squared plus 3x minus 1. And because of the squared in the equation, we know that we're going to get a parabola. All right, so now let's take a look. First of all, let's take a look at the table of values. So what's really nice is I can quickly create a table of values. So I can see all these input values on the left. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and then I can see their corresponding output values. So here is the output value that we found when we did our order of operations. We found that when x was -2, that our output value was -11. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit closer look at that on the graph. So when x is -2, our output is -11. So I can see these points are plotted here on the graph, and there it is, -2, -11. So I plug in an input value of -2, I get an output value of -11, and then visually that corresponds to an ordered pair on the graph.